Hello, and welcome to the 26th episode of the Extreme Sports Performance podcast. My name's Ryan Blake, I'm the founder and CEO of Extreme Sports Performance. In this episode, I'm speaking to Jerzy Gregorek. Jerzy is the co-creator of the Happy Body program, four-time world weightlifting champion, founder of the UCLA weightlifting team, and award-winning and published poet. In this episode, I ask him the question I ask all my guests: who he is, what he does, where has he come from and what has he done along the way, what are the key moments from his career, what are his top areas of interest, what are the most valuable things he's learnt, who are his top influencers, what are his top resources for information, what are his top pieces of advice in life, exercise and or sport, and finally, where can people find him. We continue to freestyle a bit in between questions. Really good fun recording this with Jerzy across the pond in California. I hope you enjoy listening to it. Here we go. Jerzy, thanks for joining us on the Extreme Sports Performance podcast. Please can you tell everyone who you are and what you do?
Well, it's a really interesting question, who you are, right? It's such a big question. I would say, and I am for about 35 years, I work as a personal trainer in Los Angeles and San Francisco area. And during these years, I help people to get better, all kind of people. I mean, people with pains, people without, people who wanted to be attracted, and actors and athletes and regular people who didn't want medications and any possible way, right? And any kind of a human being between about 6 years old and then 90. So during this time, I thought that would be good to create something so people actually could benefit from and could do what I was doing on their own, because what I was doing was really good. I was very successful right away from the beginning. In '87, I had clientele that it was really large, very fast, and I worked 15 hours, 16 hours a day sometimes. I work really hard in in America. Probably about 35 years and without any breaks really. Whenever I wanted to have a break, I did. But it's a kind of a self-employed system that you don't have breaks. So now when the coronavirus is, I have a break. So it's really good. I will be probably sleeping for about 3 months now. It's my vacation, so this is good.
How has the coronavirus affected your life in the last couple of weeks? What's been different?
I do a lot of online sessions, and isolation, I think, it can be tough on people, but I created always this independent system that I coach people. So whenever somebody was coming, then I would set up his place at home, usually gyms or dumbbells and completely independent system, and no gyms really necessary. So today, when I have online sessions with people and they don't come to my place anymore, then we are almost in the same place. Nothing changed really for us. It's just only what changes that people are not here, but they are in their own gyms that I created for them. So if they wanted, more weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting, then I set up platforms for them. I set up the equipment and whatever was needed. So they were completely independent. If they wanted the Happy Body system, then we set up the dumbbells and we set up the mat and then whatever, boxes for squats and so on. So whatever they needed. Everything was always independence, and so going away from dependency, going somewhere. So now people really love it. They send me hundreds of emails about how the life is simple today and nothing changed for them. So they just train, and then they have this system that calms them down because the happy body is a certain calming down breathing. The system that improves them, the system that heals them, and they have it, and so nothing changes, almost nothing.
It's funny how this latest pandemic has got people to almost go back to basics and be a bit more inventive with minimalist equipment, and I think that is sometimes a good thing. I think a lot of programs over rely on equipment that's not necessarily needed. Could you give us a little bit more of an insight, Jerzy, into what the Happy Body program is, how it works, what it does?
You said about the basic, yeah. So through the Happy Body, I wanted to create this transparency, basic and transparency. Transparency, so people would know exactly what the Happy Body is in science and numbers, so they wouldn't be confused and it wouldn't be vague anything for them. So they would exactly know where they are and what they need to do to improve it. So the Happy Body is about 6 different standards that everybody improves over time. And these are the flexibility. I just felt flexibility is important, right? And the flexibility is also measured, how far you are from the ground, before you teach, because before you touch the ground, and how much you turn and twist, and different measures. Then there is a measure of strength that is based on a record of an 80-year-old weightlifter, which I transcended into the different static exercises that they are safe for people. Speed is also that way. And there is a posture measure in the Happy Body as well. And then ideal body weight, there is a body weight that we're supposed to live by, or the body weight that is awesome, the best that you could be. So for example, for me it's 140 pounds, and I live by a number, by 140 pounds. So I can tell you how important it is, because if I didn't have that number, I would be probably today 200 or more. How I would know what the number is? I could be 170, 180. So the Happy Body saves me. It gives me the number, and then then I have the number, and then I do everything so I could stay within the number. So I create this gap around this number, about 3 pounds, and then if I go up, I know what to do, that I eat too much, so I eat a little bit less, and I coordinate my life around that number. And it's awesome, it's fantastic. Without that number, I would be completely lost and confused. So transparency about the idea of body weight. Then there is a leanness, of course, and leanness is very interesting, because when we go through life, we lose our muscle, and it's important to have enough. So the Happy Body, the excellent Happy Body, is about 10% for men and 13% for women. And the Happy Body has 5 levels. So if 10% is good, so it's good. If not, you create 12 or 13 or 15 or 18%. So whatever you really want, but the Happy Body helps you to get all these numbers, create the plan and strategies, and everything is visible. So nothing is hidden, nothing is vague in the whole system. So of course, when you want to achieve something, the achievement creates challenges, and challenges create frustration, or challenges create better you. Because once you have challenges, then you gain patience, you gain self-control, you gain calmness, your hard choices are better in life. So you really change changed a lot during that process of becoming a happy body.
Fantastic. Now that sounds really interesting, and I can really relate to those ranges and stages and numbers, just to give people a clear idea of where they're at and where they need to be. So we've discussed that the happy body involves some form of physical training. Does it touch upon any other areas, such as nutrition or recovery at all?
Well, yeah, of course. The nutrition is very important in any kind of weightlifting system or becoming better in life, stronger, faster. But the happy body is, first of all, is a system that helps a person to control the body weight. So it is not really important what you eat from that perspective. What is important is that you can design the plan and design the strategy and have enough mental strength to actually follow it. So because of that, the happy body also becomes philosophy, and there are a lot of books that written about virtues and stories and poetry to help people to build that strength. So that there's a situation with people that, or with all of us, I have the same thing, that I can watch myself eating something, and I know that I'm eating too much, and I watch myself doing something wrong, and I don't have enough strength to stop. So on that issue, I work in the last about 11 years to help people to build that strength, to help people to stop themselves when they monitor themselves and do something wrong. Because monitoring is good. We watch what we do and create our daily checkup and things, and then but it's just not enough, because we can do really wrong thing, watch ourselves, and doing something wrong, we don't have energy, or we don't have any strength or motivation to actually stop ourselves or do something what is really hard. So the last 11 years was around that, to build that strength, that battery system, the energy system that goes with self-control and doing what's right.
Fantastic. No, that's really interesting, Jerzy. Thanks for sharing that. What would you say would be the top areas of interest to you over your career as a trainer and now?
Olympic weightlifting was the most powerful. It always helped me to become sane. When I was getting, insane, that I would go to the gym and do snatches, and I get better.
Yeah.
The other thing is meditations. I meditate for probably 30 years, more than 30 years. I do TM twice a day, and then in the Happy Body, I included also meditation system for people. I'm a poet, so I write poetry. In the last 30 years, I went to Vermont College and studied creative writing and in poetry. So poetry was very interesting for me. I really love poetry and the feelings that it brings. It was bringing in me and was making me a better person. Also was very antidepressant, so that's very powerful. And in the last about 5-6 years, I started seeing more and feeling suffering of my clients when they actually couldn't achieve what was there to achieve, or what was there to follow. I saw this weakness in this weak system, that the strength system of the hard choices. So I started writing poetry for any kind of scenario, and put everything into a book called it's like I was always like a try and was a poet, a real poet, and dealing with a life of unfortunate man. So poetry was not for me glory, but poetry was always tough and hard to face. And in a way, because of that, was helping me to become a better person. But at the same time, it was also helping me to communicate to my clients, my people that I mentored through poetry. So I started talking to my clients through poetry. When they had some issues, then I would write a poem, and then I would read the poem, and we talk about that. And it was really very, very interesting. Yeah, it was helpful. And then Stoicism, was also really helpful. Talk about the virtues and talk about self-control. And because of that work, I wrote a book called Virtues, Daily Practices for the Modern Stoic. And these are because, be a Stoic and know about Stoicism, they're two different things. You can know about Stoicism, but you're not a Stoic, really. So I created this book to help people to be virtuous in life. And they have 52 virtues in the book, and then a person works 7 days on every virtue. So it takes 1 year of practice. It's a very powerful, actually, journey, to create more meaning in life, and that journey recognizes that we are not becoming better overnight. That it takes years of practice to become better, whatever it is, and then whatever wants to make us better fast is completely meaningless. And in today's world, you can see when something is ridiculous. It's seen like in 21 days you become you will have washboard abs. How stupid is that? But today it's stupid. But about like a half a year ago, it was not stupid. People were buying the books.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, the basic, like you said, that they go through.
I think it's really important that anyone approaches any form of program holistically as well as physically, because there's so many different sides, like there is to fitness. There's so many different sides to health, with the spiritual, emotional, social, mental, and environmental aspects. Sometimes often get left out, and it's just people concentrate on purely the physical, when it's more of an all-rounded system. There's much more multifactorial components to it. What made you decide to include all of these different elements into your program rather than just focusing on the physical? Was there a specific thing that happened, or was there a lot of things that you witnessed or saw which made you realise that the program, or your approach to training and your approach to the system, needs to be different?
I think that the most difficult and the hardest for us is to control food. And we want to always eat more than we eat. So it's really hard on us to control it. So I saw that we really need help in order to create this self-control and this strength. And now I saw it in numbers, transparency. When I work with somebody, let's say somebody's 160 pounds, and somebody becomes 120, and 120 is the number, right? And then the person, has 120, and suddenly the person is going back to 160. So I was just thinking, what's going on here, right? So the focus, when the body becomes 120 from 160, the body can become, and a lot of force can be executed here and help and push to become, and physically it can be achieved. But if the brain, the mind doesn't follow it, doesn't change, doesn't adapt to the 120, and doesn't like 120, then the brain will take you back to 160 or 170, right? So this is the yo-yo diet, and usually it is because the physical changes are not followed by psychological changes, the emotional changes, the philosophical changes, and then artistic changes. The feelings don't change. So all of it, those believing system has to change. And when I noticed that, then I started really working on that, because it's very easy to create the physical changes, and it's very hard to actually create the emotional changes, the changes that would create a better you through the believing system. So that was the red flag, that the mind, the work on the mind is crucial here and has to be done. And that work on the mind sent me into many years of work in different completely directions. Like you said, spiritual direction, we have to have the feelings about where we are and how we are, and care for the other people, as well care for the planet, how we behave, how we live is important. And creating that motivation from that perspective is important, is powerful. Then also the direction from the arts important. That we feel that something is right or is wrong. If we strongly feel that something is wrong, then you can have a power to correct that. Sometimes art makes us sick, but makes us sick because that's something is very wrong, and art helps to turn it around. So then, philosophy is very helpful here. That, for example, Stoicism is really important. We'll talk about Socrates, and like he said, live to eat or eat to live, right? That's 2,500 years ago. He was dealing already with the same problem, the problem of overeating, the problem of not, controlling yourself. So the philosophy work with that, for so many years. You have, there is, in many religions, gluttony is not a good thing, and that thing is all over everywhere, but really we didn't have any help actually with that. We had only, okay, this is the sin, but we've never really had a system that could help us to build our strength, the emotional strength to actually do what is right, even though it's really a hard choice. So the philosophy was crucial as well. And there is a whole way of being to know the knowledge, and its importance to know why we are doing certain things, to be transparent. So with the Happy Body, I try to put everything into numbers, so everything is transparent, so we know why we do. So when you know that what you do is why you are doing what you're doing, then you can bear really an effort. And if you don't, then it's really hard to imagine. It's really hard to stand behind. It's really hard to say that we need 3 years to achieve certain things, and we want to be faster and faster, and we want to cut corners. And of course, we can never achieve anything meaningful if we need 5 years and then suddenly we think that we need only one. So there was this famous Russian coach, and he said, "Yeah, I need 10 years to make a national champion. If I don't have 10 years, I will never make one. So I will break that one before." So there's a microprogression and time of achieving certain things that we need to really know. So we don't push faster. And that is the push faster is that the brain, if it's too fast, the brain doesn't adapt to the speed of the physical speed and gets a little bit behind. And when it gets behind, then it's really we will go backward. It means in a certain point mentally. If we can be mentally exhausted, so you said about recovery, or physically we push too fast and we detach ourselves from the recovery system, we start breaking records too fast, and then we either mentally exhaust ourselves or we get physically tired or injured, and we have to go back. So if there is always backward and backward, a way whenever we want to push and make things faster, then there's this Zen joke about a father who came to the master and said, "Master," with his son, the master, teach my son about happiness. And the master said, "Of course, I will do it like I did with you. You just go away and leave me your son for an hour. I will talk to him. Can come in an hour." So he talked to the son, and then but then he said, "Well, when we do this and this and that, in 10 years, you will really know about happiness, and you will be able to actually have it in your life." And the son said, "But master, I'm a really diligent student, and I always do twice as much than teachers ask me. Wouldn't that be only 5 years?" And so the teacher said, "Well, in that case, it will be 20 years."
I like that. That's really good. I think you've just made some really interesting insights there, Jerzy, which really are food for thought. Like lots of inner complexities often need to be approached with their kind of outer simplicities to be effective, which isn't easy to do. And like you said, needs time. Time is key in change. And I think that's one thing that people feel that they don't have enough, or they don't want to invest as much as they should or need to into creating these differences. Very interesting. So
Yeah.
the next thing I wanted to ask you, and this could be answered looking back over your entire career up to now, what would you say the most valuable things that you've learnt are?
Most valuable, I think, we should really always focus on to be meaningful person in life, virtuous, right? So virtue is really extremely important. It's that you're a good person. So yeah, we should always work on ourselves to be a better person throughout our complete life, and it really doesn't matter where you are in life. You should never lose that work, and it has to be a work. It has to be something that you really work on. So you should always have something to work on, something that can make you better over time, right? It doesn't matter whether you are in 70s or 80s. And it can be poetry, it can be arts, it can be painting, it can be philosophy, it can be weightlifting, can be psychology, but something that has the power to of virtues, that has the power to create better you, and that is probably the most powerful thing in life, the drive. I have this. Because I was alcoholic between 15 and 18, and when you to improve myself, I never really stopped to catch up, right? And this catch up system actually never lost. And this catch up system overlaps with the stoicism that in a way our responsibility, wherever we are, right, in this universe, which is really so overwhelming with these trillions of stars, and it is such an overwhelming place we are in. And when you are really in this place, Stoics kind of have this idea that we have this responsibility of following what nature brought us with. So in a way, the nature brought you, you're here, and now it's your turn. And it's hard to know why it is, because probably nobody knows what's going on, right, where we are and how we are. But to be in that process of becoming better human, it's a beautiful thing. So more kindness, more love, more calmness, and all these virtues that makes us better people.
Here. I completely agree with that. It's a beautiful way of looking at that approach and answering that question. What would you say that in your life that it's been largely kind of self-discovered? Have there been any key influences in your life that have shaped your thoughts and what you've done?
I think that when you become physical and it's hard to do something like Olympic weightlifting, and Olympic weightlifting was really a transparent system. So when you encounter something what is really a hard choice, then teaches you microprogression and teaches you patience and teaches you everything that is needed to create goodness, right? To make you better. And that physical is crucial to happen, to be up there. So you are not really chasing happiness, right? As only like a separate thing. It's not connected to the wholeness of you, with everything what you do, and then looking at that what you are, that creates this happiness instead, and it's inside, and it's not outside. So the whole thing about the happiness is that for me is really the result and the side effects of what I am, and it is not something that I can catch outside. So here is another story. So I heard this from Wayne Dyer. He was one day was talking about this happiness and how it's misplaced and how we are searching for it or pursuing it in a wrong way. So this old cat is walking on the street and see this young cat. Sometimes cats are trying to catch the tail and running in circles. And so he asks, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then the young cat said, "Well, I went to this university for young cats, and I learned that my happiness is in the tail. So I want to catch it. When I catch it, I will have it." So the old cat says, "Well, I didn't go to any universities, but I learned in life one thing. Then if I go on, I do the things that I'm supposed to, and then do the things that are right to do, then that happiness follows me wherever I go."
Yeah, brilliant.
So it's really interesting how we become and what we create. So I see that happiness is available for everyone. It really doesn't matter who the person is and where the person is. And if we really comprehend that,
I don't know if you heard about this or read about this recently, but I came across an interesting statistic on the internet the other day, and worldwide, particularly in the UK, but definitely worldwide, the number of dogs who have got injuries to their tails has gone up by a few percent over the last couple of weeks since everyone's been isolating, because they've been wagging their tails so much. They've been so happy that their owners are home. They've got overexcited and they started wagging their tails a lot more than normal. And some of that's led to straining them, which kind of made me laugh, because the happiness for a dog is in the present when they're in the company of their owners. And I think that that's quite true with life. A lot of the happiness is in the present, and lots of people either feel that they don't find it or miss it because they're living either in the past or the future. And I just thought I'd share that with you because it kind of reminded me your story of the cat and its happiness in its tail, with kind of a similar concept.
Yeah, when we are with our pets, also we are, not every owner is really kind and good to animals. So, some are not. So, here's that kind of a choice of that human being that when your core is good, then you're also good to the animal, and you will have good relationship with that animal. But you have it is not because of the animal, because of who you are internally as a person. So because in the same situation, another human being could be really mean to animals. So they are there too. So it is not really that animals they are there, or that situation is created, but it's really still who we are in the core, how we are, how we live with animals. It is because who we are internally. Mm-hmm. Our happiness still comes from who we are. It's a side effect of living with others. It's a side effect of being in the nature. If you are appreciative, then you will be appreciative person. Because of that, in the present moment, you will have this overwhelming feeling of joy and gratitude. But if you are a person that doesn't have that no matter what is outside, you will not express it. You will not feel the gratitude. You will not feel the goodness that comes your way from even trees or sun or other people or animals. You will completely miss it.
I think it ultimately does come down to the personal. That's ultimately the centre point for everything, and how that's shaped depends on how everything else around that is shaped. So just the last question, a couple of questions I wanted to ask you. I mean, you can relate this to the kind of what's going on in the world right now, or just generally. But what would you say your top pieces of advice would be in life to people?
As I said before, that invest in becoming more virtuous person, and then look for transparency. Means look for things that seen and they are not hidden or they are not vague. Things that can really help you to create microprogressive system to improve your life. And then when you have it, it's just easier to create the strategy that lasts 5 years. And if you are in the area that is really hard to be transparent, like arts, like poetry, then surround yourself with other poets, contemporary poets, because they will have this capability of creating for you this micro-progressive system of becoming a better poet. And that's why mentors are here. valuable and exceptional that everybody should have a mentor and mother in different areas of our life to help us to ground us, to give us spread of time to help us to accept the hard choices that we need to make, help us to be patient, help us to be calm, help us to to give the effort for something that is in the future and that open to us the delayed gratification. So we could evolve and create something better for ourselves. So that intent that system that is in instant is not overwhelming and is not ruling our life and it's not interfering with our becoming better in life.
One thing I didn't ask you was about your world records in weightlifting. Could you allude a little bit more into what they were?
So it's all in Masters Olympic weightlifting. I broke one record, the Olympic weightlifting record for master division, and then I won 4 world weightlifting championship. They were all over the world in Glasgow and Sydney and Melbourne, Poland, and all over the world. So I thought that weightlifting that any really pursue is important, and any pursuit to the excellence is vital. But I don't see that when you actually fail, it's a bad thing. That failure is a really good thing. So I don't teach that fear of failure is a bad thing. I teach more love of failure. So I failed a lot in my life. I did weightlifting, and I was injured in Poland, and that really ended up my career when I was 23. And I could see that as a situation for myself. Would I rather not to be a weightlifter and not to go to Olympics, or I would rather to be weightlifter, fail, and not to go to Olympics, right? So I value the pursuit and the hard labor, and not really the outcome. So the failures are just normal things, but the value of what we do and when we fail is incredible. I was at the strike in Warsaw. I was 27 years old. I was finishing my graduation in fire protection engineering, and the strike began, and I was the leader of the strike. And then suddenly, from creating for myself the career, and I ended up in the underground. And you could say that you could think about that as, well, it's a horrible thing that happened and so on, right? But it's not really true. It is, I was also blessed with people that I would never be around, and people that had unconditional love. And I met Jerzy Gregorek, who was captured in '84 and then martyred and tortured and martyred and became a saint in 2011, recognized by the Roman Church as a saint. But he was a beautiful human being that even be around a human being like this makes you better, right? It's just like it's so powerful, and without really actually pursuing what I was pursuing as my career, and without really failing, I would never really be around a human being like that. So there are the failures. I love pursuing of failures, and it's really not. It's not important that you go to Olympics or not. I think it is important to pursue something that you go because and that makes you better because like thousands of weightlifters train and one really wins Olympics and maybe 20 go. So it's not really important that you go there or not because most of us don't go. But what is important is that when you fail, that the quality that you created will be with you forever. So one day somebody told me that to sign to the communist government in Poland, the allegiance to the new school. But for me, it was like selling my soul. And the person said, "Well, you will get your everything back, your graduation. You will be engineer and so on. So why to lose everything?" And I said, "No, I didn't lose anything. I am that person. So nothing happened to me. I have that knowledge that for 4 years I was studying engineering, and I had my knowledge. I have it with me. Didn't go anywhere. So when I came to US and I started creating the Happy Body, that engineering helped me so much with transparency, with numbers, with creating all the strategies and plan for how to help people to create that system for themselves. It's really amazing with the fear of failure that people could actually have it and not to pursue something in life. So I help people with the love of failure. Pursue, and when you fail, it's such a good thing because when you fail, maybe you just hit your maximum point in life, and you're just there. You achieve your maximum, but if you didn't really pursue that, you would never achieve that maximum. So just be happy and accept this maximum, and that be humble and be thankful that you actually pursue something and then you achieve certain level. It is not important that you are we have Pulitzer Prize in poetry. What is important is that you write poetry and then you keep writing poetry and becoming a better person because of it. And that is an amazing thing.
Every day is a learning process, and it's taken me a long time to realise that. I was very impatient when I was younger, but the older I got, the more I've thought that it's not necessarily about a sprint, it's more about a marathon and trying to enjoy the view on the way and just to be involved in the process of doing it.
It's thousands of sprints.
Yeah.
Like on a daily basis, you do a little bit like a microprogression system. When Tim Ferriss noticed when I coached him for about 2 years, he noticed what I do with this microprogression to change his body to create better body for him. And eventually he did snatches and all the lifts that were really hard to do. But within the 2 years he actually made it happen. So he noticed this micro-progressive system that I have while I coach people, that I know my time that let's say I need like 3 years or 4 years or 5 years with somebody. And if I don't have that time, then I cannot really help. So I have this cerebral palsy boy that I coach for 5 years. When the boy came, had very simple language and completely dependent on parents, including dressing and going to toilet. He was 25 years old, very lethargic, and completely dependent with the language time to go to bed and time to eat. So I coached him. I said to father, we need 5 years to see the change, the shift. And if you have 5 years, then I am on with you on the journey, right? So he was okay with that. So 5 years I coached the son, and he was watching it. So from completely weak, lethargic, sleepy boy that couldn't even lift 15 pounds, and after about 4.5 years, he presses 170 pounds, and he's awake for 10 hours of working with math and English, and got himself to community college, and he's completely independent, strong, and read books now, watches movies. When I met him, he's never read any book. He's never watched a movie because he's never had energy to sustain for more than 1 or 2 minutes. He was just lethargic and fall into sleep. So you can create this microprogressive system, but you really need help too from others who actually see it and have it internally built inside in the profession, and seeing that you need help is a beautiful thing. It's such a wonderful thing, because it can help you to find somebody that can help you with that micro progressive system of becoming better in whatever you want to.
I think that's a brilliant place to wrap up our conversation, Jerzy, with a fantastic ending. Thank you very much for your time and coming on the show. If people wanted to find out more about you, more about the Happy Body, where's the best place they can go to do that?
Well, I would start with Amazon and get the book and then read about it. And there is also the happybody.com webpage, and there we have certain different way of helping people with understanding, comprehending, and following the happy body, including arts and philosophy and physicality of it. And then you can also come to retreats, because I love retreats. I love doing something that I am around people, and then when they come and spend 2 days together to brush ourselves against each other, and finding out how we like each other and how we can embrace this better way of living and that skill of living with all these hard choices on the way. So recently I said it because of how the world is today. I started doing this 7 days intense coaching system. So I did first 7 days, and I love it, because every day I talk to people, and every day I teach them a little bit more. I teach them a little bit more philosophy and virtues, a little bit more how to cook, how to eat, and how to exercise, and there are questions and answers. And in 7 days, I teach people the whole system, how to become the happy body with physically, emotionally, and then philosophically and spiritually as well.
I'll make sure I put links to the website on the show notes so everyone can go directly to them. But I just wanted to say thanks again for your time, Jerzy. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. I've learnt a lot myself in the last hour, and I appreciate it's early over there in California. So thank you for for making yourself available.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the 26th episode. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please leave us a rating and or review on whichever platform you're listening on. Please check out our website www.extremesportsperformance.com. On our media page we have weekly blogs that include Thought of the Week, Exercise of the Week, Recipe of the Week and Training Song of the Week. Each month's collection gets compiled into our monthly newsletter along with company service and store updates. You can sign up for free to receive this via our subscribe page. Our online store consists of training programs, online and in-person coaching, nutrition plans, toolbox and interactive training systems. Please follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. Links to these can be found at the bottom of every page on our website or via any search engine. That's all for now. Until next time, take care.